Hi, I'm Callum from Time Valley Motorhomes, and today I'll be handing over the Sun Living 640 panel van. So as we start on the driver's side of the vehicle, so you've got your sliding cargo door on the driver's side as it's a continental vehicle. And you'll notice that you've got a bar here which your table can clip on down here should you require, and have it outside. And you've got your electric step switch there, so when the engine is started it will simply retract. The engine has to then be switched off and you'll have control of the step over the button there. You've got your two fridge vents, and then in here this is where you put your hose pipe and fill your freshwater tank. So it hose pipe in there until simply it overflowed out the side of the vehicle, or you can check on the control panel inside how much water you have on board. Coming round the back of the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got your reverse camera just above the high level brake light there, and you'll notice on the back door it says LPG. So you've got liquid petroleum gas locker inside there. So in here, so you take your clips off your three, and then you can fit two gas bottles in there. Propane, that's a 6 kilogram propane bottle for demonstration. And you would, to put the pigtail on, it's a left hand thread, and you'd hand tighten opposite threads with it being gas and turn on and off at the top of the bottle there. Use the straps provided to strap the bottle in, and of course turn it off when you're on the road. And then you'll notice that it's fitted with a tow bar, and you've got a tow bar there with 7-pin electric should you want to tow anything behind you. And then coming round to the passenger side, you've got your boiler flue there, so just do make sure that's obstruction free at all times. This is your cassette toilet, so everything from your toilet goes into a separate holding tank, and to get it out you'd obviously open your locker, push the little yellow tab there which brings the cassette out. It'll only come out if the blade on the bottom bowl of the toilet is closed, which I'll show you from inside. And then to empty, you would remove the yellow cap, which also acts as a measuring stick when you come to top it up with chemical. Press the button, tip away, go to your waste disposal point to tip it, which is normally behind or beside your toilet and shower block. And then once you've tipped it, if you put some water in, give it a quick rinse, and then you would fill this with a cap full of chemical if you're using the liquid form, and put into the cassette, and it's ready to go back into the van. Or if you're using the tablet form, you put a pint of fresh water into the cassette, push it back into the vehicle, and then drop a tablet down the toilet, and it'll break up into the liquid with the water inside the cassette there. Moving further along, you've got your mains connectivity point. So this is where you connect the vehicle with mains 240. So as you can see, you'd lift your collar, slide onto there like so, hook the vehicle up first, then go to your sight, and obviously do it in reverse when you're unhooking the vehicle. This is so you're not walking around with a live lead. And then just here, this is your wastewater drain. So your fresh water drains underneath the beds at the back, which I'll show you from inside. This is anything you've put down a plug hole, which you'd open. As you can see, that's just the water we've tested the vehicle with. So you drive over a grid and you'd let that drain out, like so. At the front of the passenger door, you do have your diesel filler, which just opens with the main ignition key. So it's a lockable diesel cap. And then on the slam panel here, you do have your tyre pressure. So 5 bar on the front, 5.5 bar on the back, which is 72.3 on the front and 79.5 on the rear. Underneath the passenger seat is where you'll find your toolkit, which has got a jack and brace and torn iron just in here. And then underneath the floor is where the main engine battery lives. So if you needed to get the engine battery out, you will have to bring it out through the floor. But the bonnet release is located just on the side there, so you just pull that, and we'll have a quick look underneath the bonnet and point out the various points you need to know. So here you do have your brake fluid, your coolant, your power steering fluid and your screen wash. And then down here you've got your engine oil and dipstick, paint code on here, and then you've got your weight on this side here. So Adria Sun Living, 3.5 tonne, so it can be driven on a normal car license. If you were to tow anything, your train weight can't exceed 6 tonne. And then you do have your, if you just put your key into here and lift this up, this is your positive for a jump start lead, and then your negative would just go on there. So once on board the vehicle, this is your main control panel, so you turn on and off here. And then if you use the dial, you can scroll through the various options. So you've got your leisure battery reading there, which is shown as 13.5 volts. Battery at the back of the van is leisure. Battery at the front of the van, 13 volts, is your Fiat engine battery. And then if you go the other way, you've got your fresh water, which is 25% full there. And then you've got your wastewater, which is empty, as we've just opened this from outside. And then to turn off, you just go back and press in the middle of the button. To open the skylight above the lounge, you just push the button in, slide it along, slide in the grooves for a bit of ventilation in the summer months. And then you do have a fly screen and a blackout blind. So in your kitchen area, you've got 2 lit gas rings there, which you'd use by the igniter and light each one like so. Allow it to cool before you put the lid down, and you do have your tap, so you don't need to turn the pump on, you just turn the panel on, and then the micro switch in the tap will turn the pump on and off. So you've got hot and cold there, so the water's lovely and warm there and getting the temperature. And then underneath you have a 240 oven there, so you choose your temperature, 100, 150, 200 or 250 temperature, and you've got a timer there. Cutlery drawer, storage underneath the little oven there, and storage underneath your sink. These gas tabs here are to isolate the hob and the fridge on gas. Should there be any problems, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is habitation serviced. And then above you do have a 12 volt and 240 socket, and then your light for your kitchen is just this little rocker switch with storage above. Across from the kitchen you do have your toilet area. So to operate your toilet, obviously make sure the panel's on, which gives you turns your pump on. You would press the blue button here, which will flush the toilet like so. Always flush the toilet before use. And then, like I said about the blade, which is located just here, you'd slide to the right, which opens the blade. Use the toilet with the blade open. Then once you've finished using the toilet, if you just flush again, and then you can then shut the blade. The blade must be closed to get the cassette out the outside of the vehicle, otherwise it simply just won't come out. And then this little light here with the man emptying the cassette will go red when it requires to be changed. This is your sink tap as well as your shower head. But what I'd advise when winterizing the vehicle, leave all the taps open, pull the shower head out and remove the shower head from the hose, and allow the shower hose to lie in the shower tray just to stop any water from coiling in the pipe there. Toiletry cabinet here and here, and then you do have your shower screen which goes around to isolate the toilet when showering. Your little light in the toilet is got a little switch on, so you'd have to manually turn that on and off. And then you do have your folding toilet door there. To operate your fridge, first of all you've got 3 settings. So the setting up here is off. Then you have the plug, which is mains 240 hookup, which only works when the vehicle is hooked up to electric. Then down one you've got the battery, and the battery isn't the leisure battery. The battery is a feed from the engine alternator when the engine is running, so it'll only work when the engine is turned on, which is designed to keep the temperature the same when you travel. So the night before, 2 days before, you'd want to pre-chill your fridge, and then the night before put your shopping in, allow that to get nice and cool overnight. And then what you can then do is put on a battery, and whether you travel half an hour down the road to a site or further afield, your shopping should stay fresh and edible. Then if you do go wild camping, you've got gas at the bottom there where you're not having a hookup source, and this is your temperature. But what you do is you push your temperature in and push the igniter in, and then this orange band here, it'll go into the green like it is now. It's travelling into the green. Like so, slowly getting into the green there, and then once it's lit you can let go and the fridge will stay lit on gas. Also with the fridge, when you've finished using the vehicle for the season and you're ready to bed it down for the winter months, or simply you're just not using it for a couple of months as other things have came up, you'll want to clean the fridge out. And the last thing you want to do is shut the door, because if you shut the door you form an airtight seal, and any clean air becomes mouldy air and dirty air, and mould will start growing in your fridge. So what you can do is, if you just pop this little, if you push it there and pop it there, this is the travel lock, so it keeps the door shut when travelling on the first one. But if you pull it back ever so slightly and put it on the last one, which is this one here, as you can see there, I can get my fingers down the seal between the door and the carcass of the fridge, meaning air can circulate in and out the fridge when the vehicle is standing. So now in the back of the vehicle, so you've got 2 single beds coming down into the vehicle, or you can have a double bed across when you put these cushions in. But to put these cushions in, you've got 2 boards. So you've got a little board here which just rests on the lugs on either side, and then a long board which sits on that side of the bed and this side, but these can be removed. You'd put your infill cushions in, and there you have a larger bed surface, or you can of course use it as a double across the bed should you be short enough, or if you're taller you can use it as singles down the bed. Here you do have your Tele points, so you've got a TV point, a 12 volt point and a 240 socket, and then all these little lights are individual, so you've got a little switch on them here, so you can have it as a night light or you can have the actual light on or off, and all of them operate the same. And then in the corner, this is the main point, this is your heating and hot water. So this is a Truma Combi E controls. So this side is what you want the heating and hot water to do. So whether you want just the hot water on, or whether you just want the heating on, or whether you want combined both on. So you've got off on the little O there, and then at the top you can see 60 and 40 degrees. So this is temperature of the water alone by itself, and you can have it on 1 to 5. So you can have it on 60 degrees, which is your dishes water, 40 degrees, which tends to be people use for showering. Off. Gas flame is heating the van without any water, so if you've not got any water in, you just want to heat the van, you'd be on the gas flame on this side, which is the far left side. And then you've got 60 degrees of heating the water and gas by itself, which is heating the water and the gas flames there, so it's heating the vehicle as well. And then this side is what energy source you want to use. So you've got 2 wiggly lines at the very top, which is 2 kilowatts of electric. So just depending on what amperage your site gives you, 2 kilowatts you can use on most sites throughout the UK. 1 kilowatt you may have to use in, or should I say, on the continent. You've got gas on its own, so if you're wild camping and you aren't hooked up, you can run everything, heating and hot water, off gas. And then you've got gas in 1 kilowatt and gas in 2. Gas in 2 kilowatts is more common, as you'd use gas in 2 kilowatts if you're on a site and you're hooked up and it's very cold and you want to heat the water quicker, or you want to heat the vehicle. Obviously 2 sources together doubles, or should I say reduces, the time it should take to heat the water or the vehicle. But these are Truma Combi E controls. Should you get any problems with these, or you get stuck with what does what, there's many videos on YouTube showing you these, as well as many useful tips. And to turn your lights on in the back, you just press here, and there's 3 settings, or should I say 4, so bright, a bit dimmer, dimmer again, and then you've got the night light in the middle there. So when you have the bed in use, you'll want to make sure these bars go in to give it a bit more support when the bed's down. So bar number 2 is this one, and bar number 1 is that one. So 1 must go at the back doors and 2 must go here. They both look exactly the same length, but bar number 1 doesn't fit in here, as it's got to slide under there. But you can also take these out should you want to put bikes inside the vehicle, or any wider flat pack furnishings, or anything. If you're moving something, you can put in here and lift the beds up. You've also got a partition here which you can slide back and push in, and it's on a little caster there, so it just tucks away neatly on the floor. And behind here is where your boiler lives. So this little hatch here is your boiler drain. So in the winter months, you'll want to drain the boiler, the fresh water and the waste. Obviously the waste is from outside, the fresh is just behind me here, which I'll show you in a second how to drain. Obviously leave all the taps open and take the shower head off, like I've said in the previous clip. But you've got a little diamond on the top here, and when it's across the vehicle, and the little nib inside, there's a little black nib in here, which you can feel when it pops up. It's in at the moment, and there's a little button just down here. When that's all in, it's holding water. But this is a frost control valve, so what it does is when it hits 3 degrees or less and it feels the cold, so if it's 3 degrees or less outside but the hot water and heating's on inside the vehicle, it won't drop the water, which is great for when you're using it. Obviously it's not going to freeze, but if it's stored up or sat around with water in and it hits 3 degrees, this will get cold, detect it and drop the water automatically. But I wouldn't rely on it, just in case you ever get it ever becomes faulty. So to drain manually, you just turn, the button will pop out and it will drain directly underneath the chassis there. You can see the button's popped out here, so I'll just pop that back in. But do drain the water off, as it holds 10 litres of water at any one time, and to keep your warranty it invalidates your warranty, should I say, if you don't drain your vehicle off. But to keep it going, you must drain it off, as frost damage isn't under the warranty. So now at the front of the vehicle, so you do have storage underneath here, just a little bit to the side. Obviously the battery's in there, so this is where your leisure battery lives. And then you've got your 2 rear forward facing travelling seats, so it is a 4 belted van and sleeps 2 at the back. And then in the locker above the rear facing seats at the back, you've got your solar panel. So you've got your solar panel which is charging your batteries there, so green flashing means the full, a steady green means the normal, a yellow steady means the low, and a red steady means the nearly empty. Obviously in the winter months it's going to be harder to get a charge through solar, but in the summer obviously these will work to their optimum advantage. But in this winter months, if you're keeping this at home, it's probably best that you hook it up for 2 days, let it charge, turn the hookup off, and then the following week assess the battery and just keep it charging slowly, the battery. Or of course when you drive it, it will charge the batteries as well as the engine battery and the leisure. TV bracket here, so you just pull this and then you've got 3 arms, so you can pull it in the middle and have it when you're watching to watch a telly in bed, or you can pull it so you can watch it from the cab seats as well. And that just stores away neatly behind here, the pin. So if you, but I would advise taking your telly off when you're traveling. If you push the cabinets, just push the catches in there. You've got a and then on the window, like I was saying, you would slide that one up, and that's your blackout blind. These 2 clips clip into this, which is your fly screen, and then you can slide it down and it can be a fly screen. Or to separate, you just pull the pins off there and they'll depart. And that's the same on all windows. And then open, do the 4 levers, push out, it'll click. That's to keep it open. Push it all the way out until it clicks, and it'll start to come back in there. Make sure all windows skylights are securely fastened before you do start traveling, as they aren't designed to be open when you are driving. And underneath your bed, when you lift the bed up on the driver's side of the vehicle, you've got the fresh water drain. So you just lift this off, and then to drain your fresh water, you just turn this black lever here, and that'll drop the fresh water out directly underneath the chassis. You can also access the tank if you want to take this blue cap off. If you ever want to clean it, you can put your cleaning liquid into there and then fill it up with water, or put it in through the filler. But that is how you drain it, and obviously in the winter you'd want to drain the fresh water off to stop it freezing in the tank. And to use your table, so should you want to make the table bigger for the driver's seat to be turned, if you pull the lever down here, you can then turn the table and that extends the table so you can have extra dining space there as well. And to black the cab out on an evening, what you'd do is you'd use this curtain here. So there's one here, there's one there, and you'll see the press studs in the ceiling and on the front there, just behind your visors, and they would just press on there, and then you rest the curtain down onto the dash, and that'll black the cab out on an evening. And it's also insulated, as it's a kind of foiled insulating curtain. And then now in the cab, I'll go through your controls of the base vehicle, which is a Fiat Ducato. So you've got your handbrake to the right. That's just because on a motorhome they're to the right to allow the seats to turn. You've got your electric windows and electric mirror adjustments, which is the top and the bottom, so there's 2 mirrors on each side. You've got your headlight adjustment and rear fogs. Trip computer on the end of the wiper stalk, which will tell you your range, your instant and average consumption, your travelling times, your distance travelled, and your time that you've been running. Lights and indicators, and then you do have cruise control on the top, off on the O, and speed limiter on the bottom. To get your cruise control to work, you'd get up to the speed that you want, and then you'd turn it on and you'd push up. Obviously pushing up sets it, and then if you want to push up and hold, it'll go up in 5s, or little ones will go up in 1s. And of course you can slow the vehicle down as well. If you have to brake for any reason and then you want to reset your cruise control, you don't have to do that again. should you not have turned the engine off, you can just press on resume on the end of the stalk and it will go back to the speed that it was previously set at. You've got a 6-speed manual gearbox with up into reverse, which brings the reverse camera on, but that's on all the time as it's a rear view camera. So there you go. And then in the middle you've got your hazards, the padlock which locks your doors with it being a van conversion, heated rear mirrors, so your mirrors on the outside are heated, lockable glove box in there, and then you do have two 12-volt points, your temperature on the outside ring so it can be hot or cold, and the fan speed must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this orange light here. And then you can have your distribution, so your face, feet or screen where you want the air to go to, and of course you can either bring fresh air in or recirculate air within the vehicle. This is also fitted with a Pioneer head unit. So your Pioneer head unit works quite simply, so you'd pop it in and out here, so this ejects it, so you can take the face off, but always make sure when you put the face back in, you put the passenger side in and then you push the driver's side in. SRC is another word for changing the source, so it'll switch between FM, AM, CD and a 3.5 milli aux. You've got the band there, which is obviously FM or AM, and you can obviously scan for your channels, press 1 to 6 to save, and you've got your volume here, and then you've got off in the top corner. Eject, and if you press and hold you can put it onto standby, but always pop it out when the vehicle is ignition's off, just to be safe so there's no power drain. Glove box, and what these are for is this customer has had an alarm fitted to the vehicle, so with the Fiat key on a Ducati you only get one central lock and key. So if I just show you that now, so you get one central lock and key, so you've got opens the cab, locks it all, opens the back of the vehicle. So you get one of these. The other key is a blade key, so this is where one of these comes into play. So you've got arm and disarm, and obviously the unlock is disarm and the lock is arm on a standard key, central lock and key. But I would advise carrying one of these just on the key with this, just in case the battery does go flat. But the biggest question is how to turn off your sensors inside the vehicle. So as you can see here, you've got a sensor there and a sensor over there. These are ultrasonic sensors, and what they do is one picks up a signal and one receives the signal. So should anything move inside the vehicle, i.e. any pets, any dogs, or yourselves, if you're wanting to arm it with yourselves in, the alarm will go off. So what you need to do to stop the alarm going off and turn these sensors off is put the ignition on, turn the ignition off. This is your alarm indicator, and then you'd press and hold. It'll flash a couple of times and until it won't flash anymore. But when you turn the ignition off, you've got to press this button within 6 seconds, otherwise you'd have to turn the ignition back on. Obviously that's the sensors off now as it's flashed until it hasn't flashed anymore. Now if the engine is started, it will go back to default setting where the sensors become armed again. So you must do this every time you've stopped. So if you've stopped at one place for a week and you've done it and you haven't started the engine, that's great, they're off. But if you're touring from one place to another, which a lot of people do in motorhomes, you would then have to do that every time you have stopped the vehicle. This now brings us to the end of the handover on the Adria Sun Living 640 panel van. Should you have any questions, you can feel free to contact Tyne Valley Motorhomes on 01207 272 777. You can email myself at callum@tynevalleymotorhomes.co.uk, or you can email our sales team, which is sales@timevalleymotorhomes.co.uk. Thank you for watching this handover video on the Adria Sun Living 640.